Welcome into Diamond Dysfunction. We are your hosts tonight. This is a podcast talking about everything Major League Baseball, from big headlines to bold takes, everything in between. I am your host, Evan. Joined today, I have Dan, Kieran, Jared, and Mikey J. We're also going to be talking about some international ball today, your favorite teams, the Red Sox, Yankees, Mets, etc. We will be covering anything and everything in the MLB. I want to kick it over to my first co-host, Daniel Costantini. Say hello.
What's up? What's up? Team
Kieran?
Italy, baby.
Oh, Jesus.
What's going on? Can't believe we're finally doing this, boys, but happy to be doing it. Wouldn't want to be doing it with anyone else.
Mr. Jared Gallagher.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Mr. Michael Jakonski. Currently making a parlay bet.
I told him not to change his tab.
He changed his tab, didn't he? Oh, man.
He's looking at something he's not supposed to.
He looks confused. All right, anyways.
We're off to a great start here.
Today we will be talking multiple topics. We're going to be covering the WBC, some dark horse picks in the MLB, who will overperform, who will underperform. We will be covering Connolly Early, young standout pitcher for the Boston Red Sox. He currently made the big league camp. With Mike and Dan being Red Sox fans, we will be discussing that. Also, we will all be going through our own topics of headlines in the MLB. You know, who we think is going to break out. You know, some teams, some young studs that made the rosters this week. We will be discussing it all. But first and foremost, Jared Gallagher wants to talk about the WBC.
Thanks, Evan. Yeah, what an incredible WBC. And I have the numbers to prove that. First of all, congratulations to Venezuela in its first WBC title at an electric Lone Depot Park in Miami, Florida.
That was my dark
But
horse
I got
pick.
to tell you, congratulations. I got to tell you, though, the ratings prove it. Attendance was up. They had a record with 1.62 million fans at over 47 games, which was a 23% increase from 2023. And also on the TV side of it, they set the bar. They had 7.4 million viewers against the game against the USA versus the Dominican Republic, which is actually a higher attendance rating than the NBA Finals. So the WBC, what an incredible year it had. Started in 2006 and has just been absolutely getting better every year since then. You know, there's a lot of question marks about, you know, which players are playing, which players are not. You know, you had guys like, you know, Lindor, you know, Correa, who didn't play because they couldn't get insured. But you know what? I think we still got a lot of studs with Paul Skeens and Judge and Bregman and all those guys on the USA side, and not to mention all the other teams that just put on an absolute show. And it was fun to watch.
So with that being said, hearing all of these statistics, are you guys pro WBC or anti WBC? Kieran, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think that we all know where I stand on the issue. Also, based on this format, it's pretty obvious. And I know these guys, I know Logan Webb said what he said. They do not care about this event as much as other countries do, okay? You see a lot of guys who just seem like half in and half bought out, and I don't feel it's that way with any other country. And I'm not saying that this like has to be the USA show, but like it's a tough event to enjoy if you know that the guys aren't really all the way in on this thing. So, I mean, this all does stem from 2023, the Edwin Diaz injury. I'm scarred from that. I'm not even rooting for the guy anymore. Like, I'm rooting on his downfall. But I know the event is great. The timing is just horrible. There's multiple. You can do it in the middle of the year, do it in January when there's no other sport beside football going on, or, Mike, maybe right after the World Series, because I know people always say, oh, you do it in January, none of these guys are ready. I don't think they're really ready in March either, but I know they'll be ready in July or June, where they play the Midsummer Classic. And I know that most of them would stay ready right after the World Series. So those two options right there, I think, would be way better to make a very cool event, an undeniably cool event, way cooler and way better.
What do you think, Mike? Do you like the timing of the event, or do you want it to be mid-season or even after the season? What do you think?
I would go. Kieran brings up a good point. I want to hit on the U.S. just did not care about this like other countries did. That's just a fact. As far as timing, I think playing it in this time period in the middle of spring training is stupid because guys aren't built up. Hence the Diaz injury a few years ago. Not saying it's because the timing, but there's just injuries that you're more at risk playing this hard early in the season. Overall, I would say, I like after the World Series is a good point, and even like the NHL did with the I don't know, not the Winter Classic, but I forgot the name of it. The Four Nations. Who cares about the All-Star game? To be honest, cut the game out, cut the 4 days out. Have this tournament, even if you have to extend it for 10 days. Like Kieran said, so what? You drop 5 games of a 162-game season. I think middle of the summer is a great time to have it, personally. All the guys are warm. They're juiced up. Juice will be flowing. It'll be electric. But, yeah, overall, I would say the U.S. just did not care. They were much more professional than other teams. A lot of other teams seemed much more free playing. U.S. just seemed tense every game I watched. But, no, it was a cool event, but I'm not going to hate on it. But I would definitely move the timing around.
Would you connect the professionalism due to the cultural differences compared to the other teams that made it deep into the tournament?
I would connect it to them growing up as Americans. Like you and I, we root for a team, right? Like we root for the Red Sox, root for the Yankees, Mets, etc. Those guys who come from those countries, that country means more to them than any MLB team means to them. So that's what I would connect that to, just the pride they had.
That's a fair point.
Where they're from.
Dan, rooting for Team Italy, rooting against the USA in the beginning part of this tournament, do you feel as if other teams this year broke out and showed that they can compete at a higher level with the lack of star power, or is it actually comes down to, is it just a care versus care per team? Did the Italians care more than the Americans, or was it just good coaching? What did it come down to?
I think it comes down to baseball is incredibly random in small sample sizes. I think it's literally a statistical game. Obviously, star power helps. You get guys with 300 batting average, 400 plus on base. Like, yeah, that's gonna matter. But I mean, I don't want to shit on them too hard, but Judge just kind of didn't show up. Yeah, it's like the best hitter in the league. I don't think anybody here would tell you otherwise. But in a small sample size, he didn't really show up. And it's easy to single him out because he's Captain America. But I mean, he's not the only one. Bryce didn't really show up. I mean, you look at the list of guys on Team USA. Basically, nobody hit the entire tournament. What'd you say? Yeah, all these stars. Nobody hit. It's just like it's tough. It's just tough in small sample sizes.
It's not a game. It's not a game for America. It's a game for the rest of the world. That's why you see the passion from these guys. When you see one of the Edwino Suarez, the guy on the Mariners, after they won, they made the final out, and he held up the flag, and he looked up, and he got on his knees
I thought he was going to turn into a puddle live on air, just into a puddle.
It was incredible. Imagine the passion. I loved it though.
The Venezuelans never winning this tournament, you could just tell. You could tell with their pitching too. They push the envelope a little bit more than the Americans did. They wanted it, and Mike makes up a really good point. Time of year mattered in this because if this is mid-season, you get Mason Miller top of that ninth. You don't throw Whitlock in that situation. You get Mason Miller, you go to the bottom of the ninth with a tie game. But because guys are not built up, you didn't have that option. And hearing after the game that teams were actually calling up DeRosa and placing limitations on players, how are you supposed to sell a major product that had great viewership when it's limited and you're handcuffed? You know, like the tournament itself had great viewership, but teams themselves were handcuffed in this tournament. I mean, some other teams pushed the envelope a little bit more. I think the Dominicans, you know, Italy probably pushed it a little bit more than the Americans. But hearing that at the end, just how are you supposed to accept that when you're being told your manager was called by another manager of a pro team saying, don't pitch our guy in this situation?
DeRosa's also brain dead. Just
he's
terrible.
Made a bunch of bad decisions. But Evan, everything that you're saying can be tied back to what I started this I guess debate with, is just the timing of it. Like, the timing of it could not be stupider. It could not be stupider.
I agree with you. I think as fans, we don't want the time now, but I think they do take the words of the players, and the players do not want it in the middle of the season. Miggy Rojas from the Dodgers went on to a podcast last week and said they discussed it with players, and they do not want to, in the middle of the season, go from the grind and then go straight into this tournament and then go back to the grind. They'd rather just get it over with, and I think partially because they know they're limited. They're not going to get pushed. They're not going to get worked hard, and I think that's just the case.
I think it comes down to the pitchers, too.
Going back to that NHL point, you don't have to have this big of a tournament. Realistically, there was, 4 or 5 competitive countries in this thing? Like,
True.
You could cut the tournament down in size and length, and you get a great product, just like the NHL did with the 4 nations. I mean, go USA, Dominican, Venezuela, Japan. I mean, what?
Yeah, but that's not going to happen because this thing all came about. It ended up the way it is because they used to have baseball
They
in the
canceled
Olympics.
yeah.
And then they
got it from the Olympics, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So,
exactly. So they're going to have a lot of countries in it.
You know, Jared bringing up the WBC, this is a good question for him. Is the global exposure worth the injury risk to these players? You know, being a Mets fan and going through the Edwin Diaz injury, would you say that the global exposure for the sport of baseball is worth the potential injury for the MLB teams that you root for?
As speaking from a fan, yes, because it's really cool to have playoff atmosphere baseball in March, which you'd have to wait 6 months for that. So to have that passionate baseball that's intense and you're watching it, you know, same as you would the World Series or any other playoff game, I think that from a fan, yeah, send them out there.
Send them out, yeah. I mean,
Once
we can
every
all
3
agree
years.
that this baseball was probably some of the most electric baseball that any of us have watched in a very long time. I mean, watching that Dominican team, I didn't know who I was rooting for when I was watching them, but I just wanted to see more of them. They were fun. You don't see stuff
More
like
home runs.
that.
Home runs.
I mean, would you want to see them jumping over the railings in the regular season for 162 and banging drums? Would you guys want to see that, or is that not sustainable?
The olds would be furious if that's how Major League Baseball is played. I'm all for it, dude. Like, bat flip, do whatever you want. But the
Clayton Kershaw
olds-
would have a stroke.
Oh, yeah. Dude. I mean, Verlander would be cool with that.
Scherzer
45.
would run headfirst into the opposing team's dugout.
Herman's
His eyeballers would switch.
Well, concluding on this WBC topic, we can all agree that the product itself is very entertaining, but it's limited by the time of year that it is held. But in the future, you know, as Jared pointed out, each 3 years that it is held, it keeps getting bigger and bigger. So we definitely excited to see where it will be in 3 years from now, especially with the Dominicans, the Puerto Rican, all the Latin American countries. Baseball players are just getting more involved, and who knows, maybe they'll get even bigger stars in this. You know, there's a lot of people that didn't play in this tournament, so very excited to see where this goes. Moving on to topic number 2, dark horses plus disappointments. We will go around the horn and talk about who we think might be over projection or will underperform. Dan, I'll start with you. Give me your dark horse team.
Dark horse team's got to be the New York Mets, dude. The New York Metropolitans
The grimace.
had a
mount.
crazy offseason. I mean, you're talking about this team had the best record in baseball through June last year. And then, you know, there was a little bit of a collapse. Well, not
A little bit.
a lot of a bit of a collapse, but and you know, you could, you know, they were on one though for the first 3 months. They revamped, dude. They cut some dead weight, dude. I mean, and they did lose some key guys, right? They lose Alonso, right? But they bring in Jorge Polanco. He's going to be playing first base, a little bit of a utility guy. They trade Brandon Nimmo for Marcus Simeon. Love that move. Absolutely love it. I love Marcus Simeon. I think he's going to rake in New York. Great defense as well. And then you trade Sprout for a bona fide ace in Freddie Peralta. You're bringing up Carson Bench. He's starting the year. He made the opening day roster. That's awesome. I just think they're so locked and loaded, and they make the NLCS, heartbreaking loss 2 years ago. Have a great start to last year, fizzled out. I don't know, man. The new look New York Mets, very high on them.
All right, final prediction: do they win their division?
They play in a tough division. They're gonna make the playoffs. I don't know if they win the division though.
All right, moving on. Michael Jakonski, what is your dark horse?
Am I allowed to go with the Chicago Cubs?
Of course you are.
That-
Why you think so?
The Breggy Simon is unreal. The leadership he's going to bring. Believe they won the division last year. I think they got bounced by the Padres, if that's correct.
They did.
But I just think the leadership Alex Bregman's going to bring to that team with young studs they have is really going to be a difference. PCA extension, great for them too. Dude will be playing freely. He's a beast.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I like the Cubs as a dark horse. I could see the Cubs going to the NLCS, honestly, giving the Dodgers a run for their money. But we'll see what happens. I like the Chicago Cubs.
Awesome. Moving on to Jared Gallagher. Who is your dark horse going into the 2026 season?
I don't know if this might get some pushback, but I'm going the Toronto Blue Jays. They had a good year last year, but can they do it again?
About this later. I'm happy that you brought this up right now. So, but keep going.
I'm just saying, I think on paper they look good, but who knows? I mean, they got a lot of pressure on them this year. I mean, they had a very positive but frustrating year last year, So
Even with the subtraction of Bo Bichette, you believe that they'll do what they got to do?
yes, I do, because yes, they got an upgrade on the pitching side of things. And you know what? I hope Bo Bichette proves me wrong, but I didn't love him in Toronto. I don't know. I just didn't love him in Toronto. I didn't think he was all that in a bag of chips, So
Okay.
that's just my personal opinion.
Final prediction for the Blue Jays: do they win the AL East?
Ooh, I'm going with yes.
Okay.
I'm going with they're going to repeat.
All right. Thank you, Kieran. Let it rip. What's your dark horse of the season? It's all right. I muted him. I don't think you're too far off, and they signed all these guys to really good extensions, team-friendly deals. So final prediction on the A's: do they make the playoffs via wild card? Okay. All right. Cool. Oakland A's or Sacramento A's wild card team. My dark horse team, not to piss off the Mets fans, but it is the Baltimore Orioles. I think, being dead last year, they made a lot of offseason additions. Before the offseason even started, they traded Grayson Rodriguez for Taylor Ward, right-handed power bat from the Angels. He adds a lot of pop, a lot of runs batted in. That's something that team desperately missed out on last year. So they added that, and in addition, they went out and got one of the best power hitters in all of baseball in Pete Alonso. In that stadium, he's going to drive in a lot of runs with that young core, constantly getting on base with their speed and their on base. A mixture of that is going to provide a lot of runs for him to hit in. And I think he will, just like Mike said with Bregman, that veteran presence on that team is going to make the whole difference in the world. Also, they went out and got some pitching. They went out and got Shane Baz, Zach Eflin, and at the end of the offseason, they went out and got Chris Bassett. These guys are veterans, and they're innings eaters, which that team desperately needed. They've been injury plagued in their starting rotation. They lost Felix Bautista due to Tommy John. Also, they signed, who was the guy in the Mets? Helsley. They signed him this offseason. So
that guy was the worst pitcher I've ever seen in my life. He was the worst pitcher I've ever seen in my life. Seems like a great guy, much better person than baseball player. That's my stance on Helsley.
They signed him 2 years, $28 million. We'll see if that contract ages
He's
well.
like 35.
Yeah, but his baseball card shows that he can do it. We'll see if he can actually perform. Maybe he couldn't handle the lights.
Performance at Citi Field shows me he can never do it.
Maybe he couldn't handle the lights in New York.
Yeah, you could have him.
But the fact that he doesn't have to be exactly what you guys need him to be, because they have Bautista on the back end, maybe he finds something as a setup guy. But the Orioles, coming off the year they were supposed to be a lot better than they were. I think that this year they'll take a gigantic bounce back. I know Dan likes to talk about them a lot, but I think Pete Alonso just changes the outlook on that entire team.
It's 40 home runs.
I don't know if you guys agree. I think.
Do you think they're going to win the division? You've asked us all that. Do you think they're more likely to make the playoffs via wild card or win the division?
I think they can win the division. I think if they win the division, that means something went terribly wrong for the Yankees and Red Sox. One of those teams is going to get kicked out if the Orioles win the division. And
I don't know if the Red Sox are the third best team in that division.
It's such a crazy division.
I don't think anybody knows what that division is. You won't find out till midseason.
The Rays are probably going to finish last, but you can't even say that because they just mess around and win 90 games. Exactly the moment when you think, like, this year is the type of year where it's like, oh, the Rays are going to lose 90 games. No, they're going to win 90 games, actually.
Cabanero, Team DR, team on his back.
Yeah, he's a stud. You can never count them out. Moving on to a team that you think will disappoint. I'll start with you, Dan. Go around the corner again. Who do you think will disappoint this season? Rapid fire. We'll go through these really quick.
It's actually a team that was said in the last segment there. I'm going to go with the Toronto Blue Jays, actually.
Oh, we see eye to eye on this, Dan. We see eye to eye here.
I think they're in for a major, major disappointment.
Take that,
I 100% agree.
All right, Mike, who's your disappointment team of 2026?
I think keep it within the AL East. We're going to go with the Boston Red Sox.
Oh, my God. Come on.
I have points to back this up. Losing Alex Bregman, huge leader in the clubhouse. All the players loved him, so that's not great. There are one pitching injury away from being like a bottom 20 staff in the league. Ranger Suarez has sucked in the World Baseball Classic and the entire preseason. Brian Bayo's just never been good, so I think their staff is highly overrated.
He's in AAA.
Yeah, and they have no power in their lineup. So, yeah, that's my reasoning there. So, I think to Dan's point earlier, saying he doesn't know if they're the third best team in the AL East, I would agree.
Okay. Jared Gallagher, 2026 disappointment team that you chose.
Has to be the Rockies. They haven't been anything, and they never will be anything.
That's worse.
I was looking up some stuff before this show, and it was like teams with the most projected win increase, and number one on all of them is like Rockies. Now read this with caution. It's because they were so bad they could only go up.
That's what you think. That maybe they get worse.
I couldn't imagine. It'd be White Sox. It'd be worse than White Sox level bad.
Yeah,
They at least hit at their. They at least hit at their at their place, and they score some runs, and they kind of just wake up at Coors Field and can win like 30 games.
Fair. All right, Kieran, who's your disappointment team of 2026?
Yeah, I said it when Dan was saying I agree with it completely. It's the Toronto Blue Jays. There's just no way that guys like Ernie Clement and Dalton Varsho and Addison Berger and these guys are not going to replicate what they did last year. There's no way. There's absolutely no way. And the pitching, like, yeah, I know they got Cease. There ain't much outside of that. Gosman, fine. Lohr is not, or how is it? Lauer. I don't know how to say his name. I'm sorry.
Lauer.
They still got Scherzer on there. Scherzer's 100, man. Like, this is ridiculous having to depend on him and thinking that this team, in my opinion, is a legitimate World Series threat is laughable. I think they're the fourth best team in their division. I think they're going to finish fourth in their division behind the Yankees, comfortably behind the Yankees, Orioles, and Red Sox. Not in that order. You argue amongst yourself whatever order that is in.
That's fair. So,
but I think they're highly overrated.
So 2 votes via Blue Jays disappointing their fans in the 2026 season. We'll see if that pans out. Betting odds doesn't say that that'll happen, but we'll see.
And I suck at gambling too, so there we go.
My disappointing team of 2026 will be the Milwaukee Brewers. I think, coming off the season that they had last year, they were top of the NL. People were picking them to make a little bit of a deep run into the playoffs. Trading off your best players each offseason doesn't get you success. You need Freddie Peralta if you're going to keep that kind of success. They have Mizorowski, but, to end the year last year, he wasn't fantastic. They traded Durbin to the Red Sox. He was a good key piece for them last year. He played a lot of positions, got on base a lot.
Second Rookie of the Year voting?
He got Rookie of the Year votes. Every time that they have a good piece, they trade off. I think their fans are just getting over it. Their bullpen, they trade everyone away. They got rid of Devin Williams. I just don't think that they're going to be able to repeat the hot start that they had from 2025. So that's why I think they'll be very disappointing going into the season. I don't know if you guys agree with that.
They do this every year though, and like people are saying this guy Pat Murphy like might be better than David Stearns, and like I don't even know how I feel about David Stearns. This season's going to tell a lot about him, but they're like they continue to do it. This guy's been the GM for 5 years. Like they continue to just get these guys, develop them, trade them away for guys, and those are the guys they get, and it's a repeated cycle, and they're just doing it because they're cheap, but it kind of works. Like they're pretty good, but I understand what you're saying about the fans being frustrated. It is. It's hard. It's got to be the most frustrating thing in the world to
hard
grow
to
all
be a
these
fan.
guys up
Yep.
and give them away and constantly come up short of a World Series because you run into the Dodgers who have all the stars. Or
you don't have stitch names on the back of those jerseys. You have Velcro. They just keep peeling them off and replacing them.
Literally.
Moving on, a big topic coming out of the Grapefruit League this week was young Red Sox pitcher Connolly Early breaking camp with the Major League team. Due to us having 2 Red Sox fans that can talk about this in more depth, is this real or is this just spring training hype? Will he have a good season? Mike, I'll start with you.
I'm going to start with the balls on him. I haven't seen him, but he showed up in the Bronx in the playoffs last year before the team imploded on him in that final game. He was shoving. Moment didn't seem too big for him, which is very good to see. His velocity's up this year, which is very good to see. He's always had good command. He's got deep pitch mix. Andrew Bailey has definitely gotten this kid right. And to be in the Red Sox staff this year over other key veteran guys who are not is an impressive feat in itself. And I think the sky's the limit for this kid if he stays on this trajectory. I mean, I think he struck out 11 guys in his MLB debut. The kid's just a beast. So, yeah, I think he's legit. Probably a bright spot for the Sox this year. Hope he stays healthy and, see where it takes him. But I think this kid's going to be solid for the team.
Dan, what do you think? Spring training hype, or will this transform to the regular season?
It's not spring training hype. No, he's actually sick, dude. Guy had 4 starts last year. He pitched 19 innings. He had 29 strikeouts in those 19 innings. He had a 1.09 whip and a 2.33 ERA. Pretty much matches up with everything on StatCast, Savant page. They had his fastball velo at 39th percentile, but he's sitting, mid to upper 90s now. He was at 93.7. Now he's sitting 96, 97. He put on 15 pounds in the offseason. He wants it. He wants it. He wanted it last year. When like we're depleted, we got no arms to fucking go in the in the wild card. He's like, I want to pitch. I want to pitch in New York. You know how psycho you have to be? You had 4 starts under your belt at the major league level, and you're like, no, give me the all-star Yankee lineup. Give me Aaron Judge. And he did pretty good.
He worked him too. He worked him.
He did.
Loaded on him.
Only 23 years old. He's like 230 pounds. So
All right, so you two, starting with Dan, give me a confidence rating on Connolly Early heading into the season. What is your confidence on a scale of 1 to 10?
7.
Evan, I'm so confident. I'm not saying the sports book because no free ads.
Here we go.
But I did place a Rookie of the Year wager on Conley Early this year. So
On the which sports book?
no free ads.
No free ads.
Hit us up, though.
Sponsor us, though. Yeah, sponsor us. Someone.
So
Yeah,
seven, and I placed a bet. That's the scale?
Yeah, so great value plus 1,200 if you want it. I think he's just going to shove. I think he's a freak. I watched. Luckily, I got to watch some of his spring outings, and he lives up to it. So
All right.
I'm confident as long as he stays healthy.
2026 Boston Red Sox fans looking forward to Connolly Early. We'll move over to another young standout player that reportedly broke camp with the team. This is for the 2 Mets fans in the group.
Oh.
Carson Benj, going to be your starting center or left fielder?
Right. He'll be our right fielder,
Okay,
Robert in center, and
so
Soto
they moved
to
Soto
left.
to left. Okay.
They
How do
did,
you
they
guys
did.
feel about Carson Benj breaking camp with the team? Gally, I'll start with you.
I think you have to go directly to Kieran on this one because I think he's licking his lips on what he wants to say. So I'm not going to ruin his steam.
I'm actually not. I wasn't even ready for this, honestly. So.
Me either. I think it's a great addition. I think that what the Mets have shown in terms of their young talent has been incredible so far. From Nolan McLean to Jonah Tong, obviously, losing Alonso. So anytime we can get a guy, especially a young guy, I mean, based on the precedents, I'm very excited as a fan.
Awesome. Kieran, what do you think? I know you were big on this guy. Are you happy that he broke camp with the team? What are your expectations for him heading into the season? Okay, Jared, confidence rating on Carson Bench heading into the season.
Look, I'm a Mets fan. It's 100% every year till they break my heart.
Okay, Kieran. Okay.
Get stretches of goodness, though.
Yeah, he hit 2 home runs in a game that Daniel Murphy let a ball go right through his leg. So, what a guy! What a guy!
All right, this is the.
I was at a World Series game where Conforto hit 2 home runs, so I would.
You were there for
that game.
So you saw Daniel Murphy turn into the.
I
ghost
was in
of
the
New York.
bathroom both times using at the urinal, and I hit both home runs. It's a true story.
You should have never left that urinal, Gally. That should have been your spot.
You were in a stall. Don't lie. All right, heading into our final topic tonight. One of the league's most interesting teams. Are they good? Are they bad? Are they serious or are they not? The Pittsburgh Pirates going to this season, can they have one of the best starting pitching rotations in all of baseball? I'll get Kieran's take on this first because he wanted to talk about this. So what do you think? Can they have one of the best rotations in all of baseball?
Yeah, I mean, so initially this was going to be pitcher undeniably on the planet in Paul Skeens. Mitch Keller is going to do his thing in the middle of that rotation and just eat up innings, strike out guys, pitch 6 innings, keep them in the game, give up 2-3 runs, keep them in a game. They are missing Jared Jones until probably like mid-June. It might even be the All-Star break. They're always early on these Tommy John comebacks. So that is like the one thing that makes me a little bit hesitant. But I think when he comes back, like him, Skeens, and Keller, that is a knockout. 1, 2, 3. If Bubba Chandler can turn into something, now you have a 1 through 4. There's one. I don't know how to say this guy's name. I always mess it up. Mladzinski or whatever his name is, and Ashcraft. Those guys can hold it down at least until Jones come back, and regardless, they'll be good back end guys. And I know we're talking about their starting rotation, but like we were talking about it before, Evan, Dennis Santana, Gregory Soto. There's worse back ends of the bullpen. So I think a lot of these guys are going to be going deep into games. They're not going to be depending a lot on that bullpen anyway, and I think that it's going to carry them to potentially winning the NL Central.
Does anybody disagree with this take?
No, and I actually really like the take, seeing they have Connor Griffin coming up the system as well. I believe he's like the overall just top prospect in all of baseball. I watched a spring training game against the Red Sox. He hit 2 balls to the moon.
Is he gonna? He's gonna be in the lineup opening day. Did he break club?
I don't know.
Or break camp?
No, he did not break the club to start the season. They are using a little bit of roster manipulation with the service.
I was going to say, is this cheap Pirates nonsense
it's
at it again?
Cheap Pirates nonsense. And today it was actually.
So we'll see him on Easter. Or
the fact that Mike brought this up was actually very good because it was a huge headline today that the Pirates, if they want to be considered a serious team, would break camp with him on the roster, and they didn't.
Right.
And their fans are not happy because they don't have a legitimate shortstop. So he should be their starting option, but because they're trying to manipulate his service time, he didn't break camp. And it makes you wonder, you're living on borrowed time with Paul Skeens in that rotation. And, you're trying to manipulate his time for his contract in the future. You got Paul Skeens on borrowed time. Fans should be mad that they're not going for it all the way with Skeens in this window. Mike makes a good point.
The lineup really does. It needs like one more guy. Like Cruz is good, Reynolds is good, Ozuna's going to hit a bunch of home runs in the 4 spot. Like they have some guys.
You're
in that
forgetting
lineup.
some guys. They went out and got Brandon Lau from the Rays. They went out and got Ryan Mountcastle.
No, I know. They have O'Hearn too. Like they're
O'Hearn. They got guys that can hit.
I know. Like and if you add in a can't miss prospect to that, he doesn't even have to hit in the top of the lineup. It sounds like you put him in like the 6 or the 7 spot maybe. Like it's just so crazy. But regardless. Pitching matters, and like this kind of Pirates team reminds me of the 2015 Mets, where there's a whole lot of young guys coming up kind of all at the same time. Some of them hurt, some of them coming in the middle of the year. That's going to be like Jones. You have the bona fide ace like they had with it was Harvey at that time with Skeens, except Skeens is 10x the pitcher that Harvey ever was. And you get to to the All-Star break. You survive the All-Star break. Add another bat. Now all of a sudden that lineup, if you call up your prospect, you get him out of the deadline, these pitchers are all clicking, you look like a dangerous team.
Jared, being a former pitcher, knowing what you know about the mechanics and the science of pitching, can this pitching staff be enough to carry this team into the playoffs come October in 2026?
Yeah, if they clone Paul Skeens 5 times for all the days of the week, I think that they will show signs of being good, but I just don't think that they have enough depth in their pitching rotation to last and win the NL Central.
That's kind of why I wanted to ask you, because it is a good topic to talk about. Is the rotation elite? Paul Skeens is elite, and then there's a lot of what ifs. They can be good, but will they be good? Keller hasn't shown that consistency in a year-to-year basis. He's very up and down.
He wakes up, though, with 200 innings. He wakes up with 200 innings.
It doesn't matter if you have a 4.5 ERA.
Yeah.
It just doesn't matter.
You're going to keep your team in the game. You give up 3 runs on average. You pitch 6 innings, give up 3 runs. Your team is in the game.
If you have a good offense. We'll see if their offense makes the jump. That is where this team will make the big difference. If their offense can score enough runs to where if your pitchers are having a 4 ERA, it doesn't matter. You're scoring runs. That's been their problem in the past. Dan, I know you like one of their young pitchers. You were talking about him in a dynasty league. Jared Jones. Can he bounce back from the injury? I think he's starting off injured, but can he get back to what he was to start off last season?
Yeah, I do. I do, and to be honest with you, Jared Jones isn't the guy I own in Dynasty. It's Bubba Chandler, who I own
wrong guy,
in
wrong
Dynasty, who is actually, I think, better than Jared Jones. I think there's some question marks on the control with Bubba, but the guy throws 100. And he's got a 4-pitch mix. It's not easy to throw 100 miles an hour, and that already puts you, ahead of the curve in Major League Baseball. The division's wide open. I think the only lock there is the Chicago Cubs, and then I think it's anybody's ball game. So I think they could end up being second in the division and making the playoffs as a wild card.
They won't be the worst team. The Cardinals are terrible.
The Cardinals and the Reds. The Reds didn't even break camp with Chase Burns, who was a stud last year.
Didn't he pitch for them? What are they doing?
He's literally in AAA.
What are we doing with Major League Baseball? This lockout cannot come soon enough. I wanted there to be baseball.
Service time's going away with this lockout.
They need to make these guys pay people. They need to make these guys pay people.
Oh, it's coming.
It's on its way.
They cannot be doing this.
Well, that concludes our final topic. On the way out the door, I want to get each one of your hot takes. Doesn't matter how hot it is. Let it rip. This is what Kieran's been waiting for all damn day, to let the hot takes rip. I'll start with him. What is your hot take to end this show? Go quick. We'll do rapid fire.
It's actually so crazy you came to me first. I have not one hot take to spell out. Let me see if I can come up with one quickly. Yeah, here's a great hot take. Dodgers win under 100 games because I hate them.
Okay, that's fine. Jared, what's your hot take going into the season? Could be about anything.
My hot take? I don't know. I put maple syrup on my eggs. Is that a hot take?
It's a hot take.
Baseball-wise, I think the Mets are going to make the playoffs.
All right. There you go. Michael, what's your hot take?
I'll go general. We get 2 perfect games this year.
2. Do you know from who? Can you make that take, or you don't want to lock yourself in for that?
No, I'm not locking myself into that.
Garrett Crochet twice.
I'll throw one out there. Tariq Skubal contract year.
Okay.
I feel like he's pitch his balls off.
Okay. All right. There you go. Skubal, perfect game. Brought to you by Michael's Sportsbook. Dan, what is your hot take?
Trevor Story has a better year this year than he did last year, and he's healthy for 150 games.
All right, that is a hot take. My hot take
Real
ending.
hot, brother.
I mean, that's a really hot take.
Scalding.
Real hot.
Scalding.
You say 150?
Yeah, that's the hot part, Kieran.
That's a lot of games, Dan.
Breaking news: Trevor Story plays the entire season.
Ugh.
All right, my hot take to wrap this show up is Ben Rice will be an All-Star. He will be on the bench of the All-Star game. I think he's going to hit over 20-plus home runs if the average should come up, and he's going to get the playing time. We'll see him in the All-Star game. I know Dan loves Ben Rice.
I do, dude. He's a great positionless player.
Savant Page.
Savant Page.
His Savant Page.
Jazz 50-50, my hot take.
That's another hot take. That's another hot take.
I retract my original.
Contract year 50-50.
No, actually, no. I can actually pivot to mine now. You're right, because
it.
I did. This is something I wanted to talk about a while ago, though. My hot take is that Jazz will be closer to 20-20 than 50-50.
Well, statistically speaking, if he's 30-30, yeah, that's closer.
Fine. He's closer to 10-10 than 50-50.
That's a hot take. Okay, that's how we'll wrap this up.
He will not be 30-30 again.
All right, all right. That will conclude today's episode of Diamond Dysfunction. Make sure to follow, like, and subscribe the channel. The boys will be talking baseball all year long. Plenty more to come, and we will be back to you sometime next week when the season kicks off. Thank you, Dan, Kieran, Jared, and Mike for joining in today. I will put their socials in the description. But today, signing off is the boys and Mike's hot takes. 2 perfect games.
Rabbit, I missed your face, by the way.
Miss you too. Sorry.